Hi everyone, welcome to today's YouTube video. So today I'm going to be doing another tutorial for you. It's another knitted tutorial for this little raglan off the shoulder one. I posted it on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago and loads of you really liked it, so I thought I'd just make a little simple tutorial for you because it's a super easy make. Let's get started. Okay, you will need yarn. This is Elliot and May's linen bamboo blend. It's so beautiful. It's got such a lovely drape, but it is a bit more expensive, so I would still choose something that has like linen content, cotton content, or bamboo to sort of give it the drape and the nice like loose airy feel. You don't want it to be like really warm or anything, so something like that would work well. And then for this one I used 7mm needles, and it worked nicely with my yarn because it was like a fingering weight yarn. And then I used a larger needle to create the open knit look. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is take your yarn and the needle size that you've chosen and knit a swatch, 10 by 10. So long tail cast on 10 stitches and then knit in stockinette for 10 rows, and then I'll show you how to measure it and stuff for the calculations that we'll be doing. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is take your yarn and your needles. So I'm using 7mm needles, and knit a swatch, 10 stitches by 10 rows. So first make your slip knot and then long tail cast on 10 stitches. Okay, once you have done your cast on, turn work and purl the whole row. Okay, and then turn work again and knit the whole row. So you're doing one row purl and then one row knitting, so it's in stockinette. It doesn't really matter, it's like kind of messy because if you're using bigger needles than your yarn, it might be kind of messy, so don't worry about that. Just keep going until you've got 10 rows and then you cast off. Okay, so I've done my 10 rows. Now I'm going to do a stretchy cast off. Okay, so once you've cast off, you need to measure. So this was the cast on edge. I'm just going to stretch that out because that's how it will be when you made your top. So I'm just going to get my measuring tape. So I'm just going to stretch it as I measure it, as I said, because you want it to be sitting how it will when you've made your top. So stretched out, we've got 10 centimeters by 6 centimeters. Okay, so make a note of those and then we can do the cast on. Okay, so once you've done that, we need to figure out how many stitches we need to cast on for the top. So to do that, you need to take a tape measure. You need to measure around your shoulders how long you want the top, but for reference mine is about 75 centimeters. Okay, so to decide how many stitches you need to cast on, you need to take your measurement that you did around your shoulders divided by the width of your swatch times by 10. So that means mine would be 80 divided by 10 and then times by 10. So I would cast on 80 stitches. Okay, so once you've finished casting on, you need to attach in the round. So I do this by casting on another stitch. Oh, didn't doesn't really work. Casting on one stitch and then getting your other end, slipping the first stitch and then bringing that cast on stitch over the top like that, and then you can pull it tight. There you go, and then you're attached in the round. And the next thing you need to do is you need to get 8 stitch markers. Okay, so once you have cast it on and attached in the round, we need to figure out how many stitches that we need to do for each raglan section. So there's another calculation for that, and I'll go through that as I'm knitting along. This is the middle of the back raglan section. So if I just get my other top, and you can see what I mean. So that is the starting point, and that's the back. So that's the middle of the back section. And then we'll go around here and then come back to here. Okay, so to know how many stitches you need to do before your first increase, you need to do this calculation. You need to take the number of stitches you cast on minus 8 divided by 20 times by 3. So for me, that is 80 minus 8, which is 72, divided by 20 times by 3, which is about 11 stitches. So I'm just going to knit 11 stitches. Okay, so once you've done your 11 stitches, then we need to do an increase. So you want to do yarn over, take one of your markers, place it there, knit 2, place another marker, yarn over. Now we need to do the next calculation for the sleeve raglan section. Okay, so for the sleeve raglan section, this is the calculation you need to do. So it's the number of stitches cast on minus 8 divided by 5. So for me, that is 80 minus 8, which is 72, divided by 5, which is about 14. So I'm just going to knit 14 stitches, making sure you keep that yarn over there. So now, after that yarn over, now I'm going to knit 14. Okay, so that was the first sleeve raglan section, and now we're going to do the increases again. So yarn over, place your marker, knit 2, place another marker, and yarn over. Next, we need to do the calculation for the front section. So you need to take your number of stitches you cast on, minus 8 again, divided by 10, timesing by 3. So mine was 80, so I'm going to do 80 minus 8, which is 72, divided by 10, times by 3, which is about 22 stitches. So I'm going to make sure I keep that yarn over, and then I'm going to knit 22 stitches. Okay, so once you've done those number of stitches, and you've done that first front section, you need to do the increase again. So yarn over, place your marker, knit 2, place another marker and yarn over again. So now you need to just do the same number of stitches as you did for the other sleeve section. So I remember if I did 11 stitches for the first half of the back section, and then I did 14 stitches, and then I did the 22 stitches. So I'm going to do 14 stitches again. So just knit the same number from the other sleeve. Okay, so then once you've done those, you need to do the increase bit again. So that's yarn over, place marker, knit 2, place marker, yarn over. And now you just have to knit to where this tail is again, and that will be the back section complete as well. It doesn't matter if it's not quite the same number of stitches as you did for the front half. It won't make a difference really. Mine's off by 1, but that's only because it's not quite an even number of, like the right proportion of stitches that I cast on, but that's fine. Then you just keep knitting until you reach your stitch marker. Okay, so as the previous row we did was a yarn over row, then this row we just need to knit all the stitches back round to this place. So just like that, slip the marker, knit 2, slip marker, just knit like that, and then keep going and repeat that for all the other raglan increase sections. Okay, so once you've done that whole row and you get back to where your tail was, then it's going to be another increase row. So as before, you just knit until you reach the stitch marker, yarn over, slip marker, knit 2, slip the marker, and yarn over, and then keep knitting to the next section. So every time you get to that, the stitch markers on the increase row, that's what you have to do. So I'll show you again once we get there. Okay, so once you get to the stitch marker, yarn over, then slip the stitch marker, knit 2, slip the marker, then yarn over, and then keep going. So once you've done that for that one, this one, and this one, then that's the increase row done. Okay, so once you've done that increase row, then you need to do a normal row again. So the pattern is knit all the stitches and then do an increase row. Knit all the stitches and then do an increase row, and keep going like that until you are sort of this far. So I did in the end 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 increase rows, making a total of 28 rows. So just keep going until you're quite far on, and then I would recommend putting your stitches onto stitch holders, and then you can try it on and see sort of where it's sitting and stuff, and decide how long you want the yoke to be. But yeah, so just keep going, alternating between the yarn over rows and just the knitting all the stitches rows. Okay, so once you have got to a point with your raglan increases that you're happy with, make sure it fits under at the underarm as well, because we'll only be doing a few cast-ons at that point. But anyway, sorry, getting ahead of myself. So once you've done that, then we need to separate for the sleeves and the body. I'll show you that in this little clip here. Okay, so once you've done the amount of the amount of rows that you want, you need to separate for the sleeves and the body. So I did 28 rows in total. This is just to show you how to do the little technique, so don't copy the number of rows here because it's a lot less. But once you get back to in line with your tail on the row that you want to separate, then just knit up to the stitch marker. Okay, so just knit until you get to the stitch marker, slip the marker, knit one, and then you're separating like in between the two raglan stitches, because that's halfway. So take like your holder or whatever you're using and pop that through. Until you get to the next stitch marker. And then plus one stitch, so the stitch marker plus one, so that one of those is still on your needles, and then take that off and secure that, so tie that up together, and then go back to the previous section of the raglan section, and you're going to do some backwards loop cast-ons. So depending on how it fits when you've tried it on, you might want to do lots, you might only want to do a few. I recommend, if you tried it on and it's sort of you're holding it together and it fits comfortably, I recommend doing 2 or 3 just backwards loop cast-ons, just for a bit of comfort, and then continue knitting onto the next section after that, and then remove your markers as you go. And then just keep knitting until the next one, and then you'll do the exact same thing. Okay, so you're back to the next sleeve section. You want to just knit up to the marker again, take your marker off, knit one, and then get your stitch holder again and slip those on. Until your stitch marker plus one again, so like that, so it's in the middle of those raglan increases. Okay, so those are on the holders, and I just need to do the same number of backwards loop cast-ons as I did previously. So I'm going to do 3 again, and then pop those stitches back there, so then I can keep knitting. Remove that marker. So now I'm just going to knit in the round until my desired length. But if you did want to do decreases at the sides, then I'll show you where to put the markers and stuff, so you know where to do the decreases. Okay, so once you've got your sleeve stitches on holders, then you want to just knit the body in stockinette for as many rounds as you like. This is basically how long I did mine. I'll count the number of rows and put it on the screen, but yeah. Also note that it gets a bit longer when you block it as well, so just keep that in mind when you're making it. Also, if you want, you can put decreases on the side, but for my yarn especially, I felt I didn't really need to, so that's completely up to you. I will show you how to do a decrease round, for example. Okay, so that marker was there from before, so I'm just gonna knit towards it and then remove it. So I'm gonna take that one out. But for the decreases, if you did backwards loop cast-ons, then put them in the middle. So knit one of the backwards loop cast-on stitches, or knit half of your backwards loop cast-on stitches, and then keep knitting, and then do the same on the other side. So yeah, just keep knitting until you get to the other side, and then we'll place the markers again. Okay, so I'm just at the next section, the next backwards loop cast on bit to place the markers. So just do the same thing you did before, knit half. If you did even, then do one less than half. Sorry, if you did an odd number of backwards loop cast-ons, do one less than half. Then place your marker, and then keep knitting, and then just keep knitting for as many rows as you like. I would recommend not doing any decrease rows until you've got a bit further down, so you sort of past your bust area and not onto the waist area. But yeah, I'm just going to do a few rows and then show you how to do a decrease row, but you shouldn't be doing one just yet. Okay, so I've just done a few rows, and I'm going to show you a decrease row. So as I said before, I don't recommend doing a decrease row just yet. I'm just using it to show you how to do it. But when you get to your stitch marker, then 2 stitches before your stitch marker, do a slip, slip, knit, like that. Slip the marker, knit 1 stitch, then knit 2 together, like that. And then repeat that on the other side. So just going to knit over to there. Okay, so once you've got to the next stitch marker, then you're going to do the same thing again. 2 stitches before, do a slip, slip, knit, slip the marker, knit 1, then knit 2 together, like that. And then just keep going. So you should just keep knitting in the round for as many rows as you think. I would recommend putting the stitches on holders to try it on occasionally to check the length. But also, you need to be aware that when you finish, you should block this piece, especially if you're using a linen or cotton type yarn, because it will really improve the drape and also make your stitches a bit more even, and it will also make it a little bit longer. So yeah, just be aware of that when you're knitting the length, just so you know it might get longer when you block it. Okay, so you've got to the length that you want. Now you need to cast off. I like to do this stretchy cast off that I'm about to show you, but you can do any of your preferred stretchy cast offs that you like. Okay, so once you reach your desired length of the top, obviously this is not mine, this is just the little example one, but once you've reached your desired length, then you need to do a cast off. So you want to start your cast off in line with where your tail was to start with, or where your first stitch marker is. It doesn't really matter which, just one of those two. But yeah, so you can either do your preferred stretchy cast off, or you can do this one, which I use usually. So you knit 2 stitches, and then you basically knit those 2 stitches together like that. I'll do it again slower. So knit a stitch, then you've got 2 stitches there. If you slip them back onto your left needle, and then knit through the back, like that. Just like that. Just keep going. I'll put a link in the description for a tutorial for a cast off as well, if this is not super clear to you. Oh, so yeah, just keep doing that all the way around and it should be quite stretchy. But yeah, you can use basically any stretchy cast off that you'd like to use. It's up to you. And then this is the same cast off that you'll use at the arms as well. Okay, so once you finish the body, you need to go back to your sleeve stitches. So I'm just going to show you picking up the stitches along the underarm and all of that stuff. Okay, so for the sleeves, once you've put the stitches that were on hold back onto your needles, just ignore this bit. This is just the body that's meant to be done for you, obviously, but it's okay. So this is the backwards loop cast on edge. This will be the body that will be all knitted down. Just ignore this. This is just to keep the stitches there. But you'll be taking your yarn and you'll want to pick up a stitch sort of in between there and then the backwards loop cast ons. So just pick up there like so, and then pick up each backwards loop cast, pick up a stitch at each backwards loop cast on. So as you can see, it's like you can see that backwards loop cast on stitch. You want to go into that to pick up a stitch like that, and the same again. It might be kind of tight, but just wiggle your needles through the hole and it will get bigger like that. And there, and then once more. Oh, also I would, after you've picked up half of your stitches, place a marker and then keep picking up your stitches. So that's for if you want to do any decreases for the sleeves. And then once you've picked up those backwards loop cast-ons, want to pick up a stitch between there and where your next stitch is, which is the raglan stitch, like you can see. So I'm just gonna go in here to pick up a stitch, and then you just need to keep knitting in the round. Sorry, I'm just going to use the magic loop method because my needles are a bit long. But yeah, if you want to use shorter, like 20cm needles, that would be a lot easier. I would recommend doing that. But if not, you can use the magic loop method or double pointed needles or any of that stuff. But yeah, so just knit, pick up the stitches and then just knit in the round like this, and remove any stitch markers that you come to, apart from the one that you placed at the pickup stitches. So there we go. So just keep knitting normal rows. So this is the stitch marker I put in for the picked up stitches. If you wanted to do decreases, that's where it would be, and you just do the exact same thing that you did for the body. So yeah, just go back to that bit if you want to see again, but yeah, just keep knitting normal rows until you reach your desired length, and then cast off using the cast off I showed before. Okay, so now all you want to do is just knit in the round until you reach your desired sleeve length. Also, as I said, keep in mind that it will get longer when you block it, especially if you're using a cotton, linen, bamboo type yarn like I suggested. But yeah, I like my super long sleeves. Also, if it does end up being too long, then the elastic thread will help with that, it will just sort of bring everything in, make things a little bit shorter, which I think is super helpful. But anyway, yeah, so just keep knitting your sleeve until your desired length and do the same cast off as you did for the body. Okay, so before you finish your sleeve, I just wanted to say that I've done my sleeves at different lengths because I wanted it quite off the shoulder and I didn't want one to be a lot longer than the other. So I did this sleeve shorter than this sleeve because I knew I wanted it higher on this side and then lower there. But I can also wear it the other way around, so it's higher on that side and lower on that side. Sorry, got that wrong. Higher on this side and lower on this side if I just wear it the other way around. So yeah, it's up to you what you want to do, whether you want to wear it like a boat neck type thing or one shoulder. You can decide how you want to do the sleeves. So for my original one, I did 67 rows from the underarm to the cast off edge. So that was for the shorter sleeve, and then the longer sleeve I did was 76 rows, I believe. That was just so I could wear it off the shoulder, but it's still not get in the way too much in one of the sleeves and then be super short in the other. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well when you're making it. But there we go. Okay, so once you finish both sleeves, then block your top and see if you need to add in any elastic thread. It's really easy, you can just order it from Amazon or wherever. And then thread it through with a tapestry needle, and that should work completely fine. But yeah, then you're finished. You've got a nice new little summery layer. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you so much for all the love on the post from Instagram. I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.